What I want to show you today may change the way you look at your own hands forever. Because some of the most dangerous diseases after 60 do not begin with pain. They do not begin with a dramatic collapse. They do not begin with a warning siren that forces you to stop what you're doing. Sometimes they begin quietly, almost politely, with a change in your nails so subtle that you dismiss it as aging, dry weather, or a bad manicure from years ago. But if your nails have started to curve, fade, whiten, hollow, or darken in unusual ways, your body may be trying to tell you something long before the rest of you is ready to listen. And as a neurologist, I need to say this very clearly. I do not look at nails because I'm interested in cosmetics. I look at nails because the brain depends on oxygen, circulation, iron, kidney balance, and liver function to survive. When those systems begin to fail, the body often leaves small clues in places most people ignore. Your fingertips sit at the farthest edge of your circulation. They are vulnerable. They are revealing. And when something changes there, I pay attention. Because sometimes what looks like a harmless nail problem is actually the visible edge of a hidden disease that has already been growing inside your body for months. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, and stay with me, because these warning signs could help protect health. Now, before I reveal the 4 diseases I worry about most, I need to calm one fear immediately. Not every change in your nails means something terrible. Many people over 60 develop vertical ridges, mild brittleness, slower nail growth, or a slightly duller color. That can happen with normal aging. But there is a major difference between ordinary aging and a pattern that suddenly appears, spreads, worsens, or arrives with fatigue, dizziness, swelling, shortness of breath, memory fog, numbness, or weakness. That is the difference that matters. And if you understand that difference by the end of this video, you may catch something early enough to change the rest of your life. Let me tell you about Eleanor, because her story explains why this topic matters so much. Eleanor was 72, sharp, independent, and the kind of woman who noticed everything. She noticed when the grocery bill changed by $3. She noticed when one flower in her yard bloomed late. But for almost a year, she ignored what was happening to her fingernails. They were getting flatter in the middle and slightly lifted at the edges, almost like little spoons. She thought they looked strange, but she told herself, "I'm getting older, nails change." What she didn't know was that her body had already been whispering a much more serious message through her hands. So stay with me, because disease number 4 begins with a nail shape that many seniors miss completely. Disease number 3 looks like a harmless color change. Disease number 2 often hides in silence until kidney damage is already underway. And disease number 1, the one that worries me most, is the nail pattern that can point to low oxygen, serious lung trouble, or heart-related danger. By the end of this video, you'll know what to look for, why it happens, and when a nail change is not something to watch politely, but something to investigate immediately. Let's begin with disease number 4, because it is one of the easiest to dismiss and one of the most common to overlook after 60. Iron deficiency anemia. I know what some people think when they hear that. They think, anemia? That just means a little tired. No, not always. In older adults, iron deficiency anemia can mean chronic blood loss, poor absorption, nutritional deficiency, or a hidden digestive problem that has been draining your reserves slowly and quietly. And when your body doesn't have enough iron to make healthy red blood cells, your brain, your muscles, and your nerves all feel it long before you fully understand why. The nail sign here is something called spooning. Imagine your nail losing its normal gentle curve and starting to dip inward in the center, while the edges lift slightly upward. If you placed a drop of water on a more advanced spoon nail, it might almost sit there. These nails can also feel soft, thin, and fragile. Some people notice splitting. Others notice that their nails simply no longer look strong. They look tired. That is exactly the word many patients use, tired nails. And I'll tell you, when a nail starts to look exhausted, I start wondering whether the body underneath it is exhausted too. Eleanor had more than spoon-shaped nails, but she didn't realize it. She was also short of breath when carrying laundry. She felt cold in rooms where everyone else was comfortable. She had headaches in the afternoon, and she began forgetting small things, like why she had walked into the pantry or whether she had already taken her vitamins. She blamed aging. Her family blamed stress. But the brain is extremely sensitive to reduced oxygen delivery, and iron is essential for carrying oxygen where it needs to go. What felt to her like ordinary slowing down was actually a body struggling to keep the lights on with too little fuel. And this is where seniors need to be especially careful, because iron deficiency after 60 is not something to casually explain away. Yes, it can happen from not eating enough iron-rich foods. Yes, it can happen from poor absorption, but it can also happen because there is slow blood loss somewhere in the digestive tract. That could mean ulcers. That could mean inflammation. That could mean something even more serious that should not be left unexamined. A spoon nail is not a diagnosis, but when I see spooning paired with fatigue, paleness, dizziness, restless legs, or new weakness, I do not tell people to ignore it and wait. Now here's the part most people don't understand. And it matters. Your nails do not become spoon-shaped overnight. This usually happens gradually. The body has often been compensating for a long time. That means if you are noticing it clearly now, this may not be the beginning of the problem. It may be the point at which your body can no longer hide the problem elegantly. And that is why something as small as a changed nail can matter. It is not the nail itself that scares me. It is the delay. It is the months lost because someone assumed this was just another unimportant sign of getting older. So if your nails have become concave, soft, and thin, and especially if you also feel tired, lightheaded, colder than usual, or mentally foggy, that is worth a proper medical discussion. And if you have black stools, unexplained weight loss, chest discomfort, or severe shortness of breath, then it becomes even more urgent. Eleanor eventually had blood work. Her iron was low, her anemia was real. And when the underlying cause was addressed, her energy returned in a way she had not felt in months. But if she had kept dismissing those nails, the story could have unfolded very differently. Now disease number 3. This one is trickier because it often looks almost elegant at first. The nails begin to appear pale, washed out, almost ghostly white across most of the nail bed, while a thin pink, red, or brownish band remains near the tip. Some people look at this and think their nails simply look cleaner. Others think it's poor lighting. But when I see that pattern, I think of what are often called Terry's nails. And while this can sometimes happen with aging alone, it can also be a clue that the body is dealing with a much bigger internal burden. Let me tell you about Harold, because his case stayed with me. Harold was 76 and had hands that looked healthy from a distance. Strong grip, steady fingers, no tremor, no numbness. But his nails looked strangely pale, as if the healthy pink color had been drained out of them. Only a narrow, darker band remained near the tips. He thought maybe it was from hand sanitizer, cold weather, or the lighting in his kitchen. But his wife had noticed something else. He was more tired than usual. His ankles looked a little swollen by evening. He had less appetite, and his skin sometimes itched for no clear reason. Those details matter because Terry's nails can be associated with liver disease and sometimes with heart failure or diabetes as well. The reason I'm emphasizing liver disease here is that the liver is one of the great silent workers of the body. It filters, processes, stores, regulates, and compensates. It can be under tremendous stress before obvious symptoms appear, and when it begins to struggle, the changes are not always dramatic at first. Sometimes it's swelling, sometimes it's fatigue, sometimes it's easy bruising, and sometimes, yes, one of the earliest visible clues is that the nails start to lose their normal, healthy color. The exact reason this happens, is complex, but the basic idea is simple. Changes in blood flow, protein balance, and the tissue under the nail can alter the color of the nail bed. Instead of looking pink and well-supplied, the nails look opaque and washed out. And because liver disease can affect metabolism and circulation in ways the patient does not feel clearly at first, these small surface changes may appear before the person understands that anything deeper is happening. That's why I say to seniors all the time, never judge a body only by whether it hurts. Many dangerous conditions are quiet long before they are painful. Harold did not have a dramatic crisis, which is exactly why he had ignored his symptoms. He was still driving. He was still gardening. He was still eating breakfast at the same diner twice a week. In his mind, serious illness looked like collapse. But medicine does not always announce itself that way. Sometimes disease erodes function grain by grain. His nails had changed, his energy had changed, his swelling had changed, and when testing was finally done, the problem in his liver was not imaginary. It had simply been easy to miss because the signs were scattered in small places, each one individually easy to excuse. Now, I need to be careful here, because I don't want anyone panicking the moment they notice pale nails. Terry's nails can happen with aging. They can also be seen with other conditions besides liver disease. So this is not a look once and diagnose yourself situation. It is a notice the pattern, notice the timing, notice the company it keeps situation. If the nails are newly pale and washed out, and you also have fatigue, swelling, itching, easy bruising, loss of appetite, belly swelling, or yellowing of the skin or eyes, then you should not brush that off as normal aging. And what makes this especially important after 60 is that many people get used to feeling a little off, a little more tired, a little less hungry, a little weaker in the legs, a little puffier in the ankles. They adapt. They normalize. They reduce activity to fit the problem instead of investigating the problem. That is how silent disease gains time. And when the liver is involved, time matters. The earlier the cause is identified, the more options you usually have. So if your nails look bleached out except for that narrow tip band, do not treat that as a meaningless cosmetic oddity. Now we come to disease number 2, and this one is particularly dangerous because it can hide in people who feel almost fine. Chronic kidney disease. If the kidneys are gradually losing their ability to filter waste, balance minerals, regulate fluid, and support healthy blood production, the body may show signs long before the person feels a dramatic emergency. One of the nail patterns linked with kidney trouble is what many doctors call half-and-half nails, or Lindsay's nails. And if you've never heard that term before, don't worry, most people haven't. But once you see it, you understand why it matters. Let me tell you about Patricia, age 71, because she thought she only had dry skin and age-related fatigue. Her nails had changed in a way she couldn't quite describe. The lower part near the cuticle looked pale, almost white. The outer part, closer to the tip, looked darker, pinker, almost brownish by comparison. It wasn't just one nail, it was several. At the same time, she was waking more at night, feeling mildly nauseated in the mornings, and noticing that her rings fit tighter by the end of the day. None of those symptoms felt urgent. Together, they were telling a different story. Half-and-half nails are exactly what they sound like. The nail appears divided into 2 zones. The part closer to the base looks pale or white, while the upper portion looks pink, reddish, or brownish. Not all nail changes like this mean kidney disease, and sometimes similar patterns can occur in people without serious illness. But when this sign appears alongside swelling, fatigue, loss of appetite, itchy skin, changes in urination, or a general feeling that your body is not regulating itself normally, kidney function needs to be considered. Because kidney disease is famous for progressing quietly while the patient tells everyone they're mostly okay. Here is why this gets my attention as a neurologist. Because the kidneys and brain are deeply connected. When kidney function declines, waste products can accumulate. Blood pressure can become harder to control, anemia can develop, fluid balance can shift, and the entire nervous system can suffer. People become foggier, weaker, less steady. They may sleep poorly. They may feel numbness in the feet. They may feel a strange mix of fatigue and restlessness that is hard to describe. And by the time some of those symptoms become obvious, the kidneys may have been under strain for far longer than anyone realized. Patricia had never thought of her nails as a health signal. And honestly, most people don't. But the body often leaks information through the periphery, through the fingertips, through the skin, through the eyes, through the feet. In her case, blood work revealed kidney dysfunction that had not yet announced itself in a dramatic way. She was fortunate. The clue was noticed before a crisis, and that is what I want for you. Not fear, not obsession, just awareness. Because the difference between catching chronic kidney disease early and catching it late can be the difference between prevention and permanent damage. Fatigue can be blamed on bad sleep. Brain fog can be blamed on age. Nausea can be blamed on the stomach. A change in urination can be blamed on getting older. And while sometimes those explanations are true, sometimes they become convenient stories we tell ourselves while the kidneys keep losing ground. That is why a nail change, even a subtle one, can become the clue that breaks the pattern of delay. If your nails look divided into a pale lower half and a darker upper half, do not assume, but do investigate. Especially if you also have high blood pressure, diabetes, swelling, itching, weakness, frequent nighttime urination, or a sense that your body is not recovering from ordinary days the way it used to. The nails are not making the diagnosis. They are raising the question. And for hidden kidney problems, the right question asked early can protect far more than your nails. It can protect your heart, your brain, your blood vessels, and your independence. Let me tell you about George, a retired mechanic, 74 years old, who came in because his daughter thought his hands looked strange. George laughed when she said it. He told her she was imagining things. But when I looked, I saw that his fingertips were subtly enlarged. The normal angle between the nail and the skin at the base had flattened. The nails curved more than they should. His fingers looked broader at the ends than they used to. He had also been more winded walking from the mailbox, and he had developed a cough he insisted was nothing serious. That combination got my attention immediately. Clubbing often develops slowly, which is part of what makes it dangerous. You see your own hands every day, so the change can become invisible to you. Family members who haven't seen you closely in a few weeks may notice it faster than you do. Early on, the nail bed can feel softer or springier than usual. The usual little angle at the base of the nail starts to disappear. Later, the fingertip becomes rounder, warmer, fuller, and the nail curves over it. Some people say it looks like an upside-down spoon. Others say the nail seems to float. None of those descriptions are reassuring. Why does this happen? And why do I care so much? Because clubbing is often linked with conditions that lower oxygen in the blood over time or alter blood vessel behavior in the fingertips. That can happen with lung disease, including serious lung conditions. It can happen with chronic infections. It can happen with some heart conditions. It can happen with certain digestive or liver diseases. The point is not that every clubbed nail means one exact diagnosis. The point is that the body usually does not reshape fingertips for no reason. Something deeper is often driving it, and that something deserves real medical attention. So here is a simple home check, and I want you to do this carefully, not anxiously. Look at your nails in natural light. First, study the color. Are they healthy pink, or do they look washed out, unusually pale, half white, yellow, blue, or strangely dark? Second, study the shape. Are they flat, spooned inward, thickened, or curving downward over the fingertip? Third, study the skin around them. Is it swollen, warm, discolored, or stretched? Fourth, ask whether the change is new. Fifth, ask whether the change is traveling with other symptoms. Those 5 questions can tell you whether this is worth casual observation or real action. And let me add something very important, because seniors often do this. Do not compare your nails to someone else's hands. Compare them to your own older photos, or to what you know your hands used to look like. Some people naturally have more curved nails. Some people have naturally lighter nail beds. Some families have inherited nail shapes that are completely harmless. What matters is change. A new change, a progressive change, a change with symptoms. That is why people miss disease so often. They compare themselves to the world when they should be comparing themselves to their own baseline. Now, I also want to tell you when a nail change moves from mention this at your next appointment to please don't wait. If you notice clubbing with shortness of breath, a new cough, or chest symptoms, do not delay. If you notice spoon nails plus severe fatigue, dizziness, black stools, or weakness, do not delay. If you notice pale or half-and-half nails plus swelling, nausea, confusion, or major changes in urination, do not delay. And if a nail change appears with yellowing of the eyes, severe itching, belly swelling, or easy bruising, do not delay. A delayed response is often what turns a warning sign into a crisis. There is one bonus warning I have to include, even though it is not one of the 4 diseases in today's title. If you develop a dark brown or black streak under one nail, especially if it is new, getting wider, irregular, or extending into the surrounding skin, that deserves prompt medical attention. Many dark nail lines are benign. Some are not. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming every dark streak is just trauma. If it doesn't grow out normally, if it keeps widening, or if it appears without an obvious injury, get it checked. That is not a sign to casually watch for 6 months. Now let's bring this all together, because I don't want you leaving this video with scattered details. Disease number 4 was iron deficiency anemia. The nail clue was spooning, soft, thin nails, and a hollowed center. The deeper concern was not only low iron, but why the iron is low, especially after 60. Disease number 3 was liver disease, with pale, washed-out nails and a narrow, darker band near the tips, the pattern often called Terry's nails. Disease number 2 was chronic kidney disease, with half-and-half nails or other nail changes appearing alongside swelling, fatigue, and fluid imbalance. And disease number 1, the most dangerous signal in my view, was clubbing. Fingertips widening, nails curving downward, the normal profile disappearing, often linked to lung disease, chronic low oxygen, and sometimes heart or digestive conditions as well. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Nails do not diagnose disease, but they can absolutely expose disease. They are not random decorations. They are living tissue at the edge of your circulation. When the body is under strain, the edges often speak first. The tragedy is not that these signs exist. The tragedy is how often they are ignored. I've seen older adults spend months chasing the wrong explanation because the right one felt too serious to consider. They blamed dry air. They blamed gardening. They blamed dish soap. They blamed winter. They blamed aging. And I understand why. It is emotionally easier to believe in a harmless explanation than to consider a hidden disease. But the body does not care what explanation feels emotionally convenient. It keeps telling the truth, quietly, repeatedly, through fatigue, through swelling, through breathlessness, through nails. The sooner you stop arguing with the clues, the sooner you give yourself the chance to do something useful with them. And this is why I wanted to make this video in exactly this way. Not to frighten you, but to sharpen your attention. Because after 60, the game changes. Symptoms are more easily normalized. Changes are more easily excused. Family members are more likely to hear, "Oh, that's just age." But not everything is age. Some things are warning signals disguised as age. Some things are disease hiding inside a familiar sentence. That's why you need to be more observant, not more fearful. Calm, specific, thoughtful, but observant. That is how you protect yourself without falling into panic. Let me give you one more example, because this brings the whole lesson into focus. A man I once spoke with had been telling everyone he was just slowing down. He wasn't walking as far. He wasn't carrying as much. He wasn't sleeping well. His nails had changed shape. His wife mentioned it. He shrugged it off. His daughter mentioned it. He shrugged again. He only sought help when the shortness of breath became impossible to excuse. By then, the underlying illness had enjoyed months of silence. Could the nails alone have made the diagnosis? No. Could they have triggered earlier attention? Absolutely. And that earlier attention matters more than people realize. So here is what I want you to do after this video. And please actually do it. Go into a bright room. Look at every fingernail. Then look at both thumbs. Compare them. Ask yourself whether the shape, color, and contour feel familiar or changed. Then think about your body honestly. Have you been more tired? More swollen? More dizzy? More breathless? More mentally foggy? Have you been explaining away symptoms because they arrived slowly? If the answer is yes, do not self-diagnose. But do not ignore it either. Make the appointment. Bring the symptoms. Bring the timeline. Bring your questions. That is how smart medicine begins. If you are caring for a parent, a spouse, or an older sibling, this message is for you too. Sometimes the person living in the body adapts to the change and stops noticing it. The outside observer sees it more clearly. You may be the first person to notice that the fingertips look rounder, the nails look whiter, or the hands no longer look like they used to. Say something. Kindly. Repeatedly if needed. Not with panic, but with seriousness. Families save lives this way all the time. Not by diagnosing, but by refusing to let a subtle sign be dismissed before the right evaluation happens. And please remember, nails are only one part of the story. They are not superior to blood work. They are not superior to imaging. They are not a substitute for a physician. But they are accessible. They are visible. They are free. And sometimes they reveal what the body has been trying to communicate all along. That is why a careful doctor never ignores them. The hands can tell you about circulation, oxygen, inflammation, nutrition, organ strain, and systemic disease in ways that are easy to underestimate until the pattern becomes impossible to deny. I would rather you notice early and be reassured than notice late and regret the delay. So the next time someone tells you your nails are just cosmetic, I want you to remember this video. Remember the spoon-shaped nail that can signal iron deficiency anemia? Remember the pale, washed-out nail that can point toward liver disease? Remember the half-and-half nail that may be linked with kidney trouble? And remember the curved, bulbous fingertip that can suggest low oxygen and deeper disease in the lungs or heart. Small signs, huge consequences. That is medicine more often than people think. The body rarely keeps secrets perfectly. It leaks truth in visible places. The question is whether you know how to read it in time. If this video helped you, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone over 60 who would never think to look at their nails this way. You may help them catch something early. And if you noticed one of these changes in yourself while watching, don't panic tonight. Just act wisely tomorrow. Observe. Write down what you see. Notice what else has changed. Then speak to your healthcare provider with confidence and clarity. That calm, informed step is often the moment when confusion ends and answers begin. Your body may whisper before it screams. Learn to hear the whisper, and you give yourself a powerful advantage. Take care of yourself, take care of the people you love, and never underestimate what the smallest changes can reveal. I'll see you in the next video.